celebrate this year our 30th anniversary. So 3 decades ago, it really evolved from a need in the downtown core. There was an added volume of people that were living on the street and coming to the city for economic reasons, looking for a job, and really just ending up not finding somewhere to live or maybe coming with some social issues. And so the volume on the street started to rise, and some churches downtown, most notably Central United and Knox United, got together and with a team of physicians and nursing, and they looked at how do we open a storefront that can meet the needs of those that are on the street and going into various churches or places looking for help, and giving them that one-stop shop, so to speak. It was a wonderful focus on trying to really add resources to our community at a time that there certainly was a need. And I think the core of what their intent was, and it's still exactly the core in all the changes that have evolved over the last 30 years of what we aim to do, and that is to make individuals, particularly those that are marginalized and low income and have social challenges, healthy.
I've worked at CUPS for quite a few years now, and it was heartbreaking. We would work with a client and they'd become very successful, and we'd be happy and celebrate that success, and then they would go along and they would hit some road bump in life, and then we'd find them back at our doorstep, not at just at where we left them or the step before, but right at the very bottom again. And they had all that hard work of getting things together would seem to evaporate. And so what we wanted to do was find a way to stabilize people, and that's where the resilience came in. Find a place that they can adapt and change on their own to life circumstances as they come up. On the other hand, it's how do we ensure that they are able to come back when they need it, as opposed to waiting for far too long. And so the other side of the question was people would come in and they would access or talk to 20 different people in an organization, or 30 different community organizations working to help somebody, but in an uncoordinated way. So they would get help for one thing, but they wouldn't be able to get help for the other one that was really critical for them.
Well, it started back 2 years old, and sister was 1. My father, who was an alcoholic and a drug addict, had come home and shot and killed my mom right in front of my sister. I suffered sexual abuse from the age of 8 to 13 years old. And it just, the addiction started at a very young age, so I could forget, and the demons and the nightmares, and led me into heroin. You know, down on the streets of Vancouver, every skid row, dive place I could find. And I think, bottom line, I was just, you know, deep psychosis, just didn't want to live anymore, and I just thought this was the easiest way out.
So we started learning a lot about this thing called brain science, and really what it is what does trauma do to the brain in a developing child? How does that manifest into predictive behaviors and life trajectories as an adult? And what can we do about that to manage, obviously, adults that have experienced high level of traumas in their environments, but also to prevent it, or at least manage it in the children at a much lesser scale. And when we started learning about this information, we took a step back and said, we want to break the cycle, or break out of the traditional model of just meeting the needs of people coming through our door. We want to have a better plan for that. So for that reason, we looked at 13 best practices across the world, also the trends of what had happened in terms of the participants coming in to our building over the last 30 years, and from that developed a resiliency matrix tool. And what's great about this tool is we're able to do a snapshot of each individual, because no one issue is universal to every individual. So we're able to tailor it to specific needs of that individual and those families. It is 4 separate domains: economic, social emotional, developmental, and health.
It gives the individual an opportunity to share their whole story, and from that picture that they paint or that story that they provide, we can start to provide support to identify priorities and areas that they want to focus on in order to start putting a plan together to move forward and to build some stability and some resiliency.
It's innovative because it's taking all the different activities that we do here, from dentistry, housing, childcare, all those different things that people need to get to adjust the situations that they're in, and being able to measure them at the same time. and then show change.
They pretty much saved my life when they arrested me, went to prison for close to 7 years, and ended up out of prison and down here in Calgary. And where I was out of prison, I was sober, I was still clean, but I still had all these demons inside of me and all these dreams, and I didn't know how to handle them. So I went to CUPS Medical Clinic, where again, over the years, CUPS has helped me with clothes and bags, and I was on the streets at this time eating out of the garbage, and they would feed me, and then they got me in touch with a psychologist and the medical team, and they just became my new family, and they brought me back.
If we keep just dealing with one issue in isolation, it's not necessarily getting to the real story about why it is that someone is unable to find stability and health and wellness in life is more complicated than at times just dealing with one issue at a time. You have to deal with them collectively.
So when clients come in, we want to be able to measure that change, and our preliminary results are coming in from this innovative tool are showing dramatic results for people.
They gave me the resources. They made me feel like family. They made me feel like I mattered. And with that, just that feeling of reality and being a real person, and just giving me that normality in life, just to give me their time of day, made me this whole new person and gave me this whole new onset for life.
The intent of everything CUPS has ever wanted to do was to make the community better, not just our four walls, and for the participants and clients that come through our doors, that anywhere they go, they're getting their needs met and they're creating long-term plans.